I did like 2 or 3 challenges and then I got the 8K payout. There's levels, right? So you think you're doing extremely well and there's always someone doing 10x what you're doing. If you look at like the futures space, you see all these guys seems to be making 40K a day, like constantly. I'm like, how, like this, the math ain't mathing in my head. I see trading as like a supplementary income, not as a main income. Because when you treat it like a main income, there's so much you put mentally, you might even not even realize how much pressure you put yourself. It's about just understanding that trading is just hard in general and it's not for everyone. And some people say it is, but it's really not.
Hello, dear TDB audience. Today we have Ashley Garlick in our guests. Hello, Ashley. Thank you for.
Hey, how we doing?
Today we're gonna have an interview with Ashley. Ashley recently received almost 8K in rewards trading metals, and as you know, metals is a very big trend right now. So we are excited to hear what Ashley is gonna share with us, what kind of experience and advice he can give to other traders, and listen more about Ashley's story. Thank you so much, Ashley, for joining. It's really nice to have you. And first of all, let's start just with a simple question. Tell us about yourself. What's your trading background? Where are you from? And what can you say about yourself?
So I'm from the UK, but I'm a globetrotter. So I'm typically trying to travel the world because that's always been my ambition, my goal. Like I enjoy seeing different cultures, living in different cities, etc. around the world. I find just living in the UK is quite challenging with the weather, the general environment, the living costs. Here you can live a very good lifestyle in Bangkok for half the price that it would be in somewhere like London. And in terms of how I got into trading was when I kind of started traveling. I just looked up how to generate money online. So I just went on Google, looked at the different options available. And then from that point, I decided I want to pick trading because with trading, I don't have to deal with, for example, I was doing drop shipping, dealing with customers on top of manufacturers and the times where you might find a good product and then it just dips, managing that. Whilst we're trading, it's just you, yourself, and the charts, and then managing your capital, risk, etc. So yeah, just typically like that.
I believe trading is the best choice that is perfectly suitable for your lifestyle, right? So you're independent, you make decisions on your own, you can do whenever you want, however you want, in every part of the world, right? So it's a best fit for you. Am I getting it right? Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really nice to hear that you found it. So what was the journey, especially like in trading? We hear that a lot of people, they struggle to get the results. They need a lot of time. And of course, it's not 1 month, learn it, a thing, and then you get easy money. We have ups and downs. What was the kind of aha moment, the moment when you realized, oh, the trading actually works for me? What was the moment for you?
I think for me, I've always just, whenever I've done something like a 9 to 5, I've just not felt quite at home in that kind of environment. And I would never knock a 9 to 5. I know people do. But without people doing a traditional job, we wouldn't be able to live the lifestyles that we live. And when you're getting into trading, you need to start in a 9 to 5. So if you start slating a thing that got you to where you are, it's kind of like biting the hand that kind of fed you to that point. And what was the question one more time? Just so excellent.
The question was, so let me rephrase it one more time. You said that you tried drop shipping. You tried different other types of income, right? And you stopped with trading, and trading worked for you, and you are getting rewards with trading, etc. However, trading is not easy. Trading cannot be accomplished in just a couple of weeks, right? You need experience, you need your own trading strategy, you need to backtest things, you need to spend some time in front of charts, and then you understand how to actually make money with trading. So what was the moment when you realized, just specifically for you realized, okay, now I can make some money out of it. I can start getting rewards from trading. What was this moment when you realized, yes, it works for me, I'm gonna stick with it, this is my path?
I think it was when I was traveling and I was trading a personal account, and I just saw, a couple £100 a day, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm making all this money just trading on my phone. And whilst you're traveling, you don't have to spend so much. But once I started utilizing prop firms, I saw the real scalability of, turning, those £300 that I made on my personal, I could then scale that massively, making, it's 5 to 6 figures trading prop firms, because they offer that leverage which personals can't. I mean, they can, but your exposure and risk is extreme. Whilst with props, you can, let's say, make $8,000, $10,000 trading a prop account. Then you might fail 2, 3, 4 challenges, but you're still up. Whilst if you were trading a personal, you wouldn't be in the same kind of boat. And once you kind of figure out the game of prop trading and understand that there's drawdown periods, and that's the same as if you're trading a personal as well, I realized once I was starting to make consistent payouts with firms that this is what I want to do, and I didn't have to rely on people talking to me, telling me what I should, could, or shouldn't be doing. And the kind of aha moment was maybe my second time round, because my first time I was doing well. I was living in Vietnam. I got funded with FTMO, and then COVID happened, and I had to kind of restart. And I think once I had that restart, it kind of put me in a place where I had a bit more of a foundation. And when I started making that income, I was like, right, this is it. This is a time for me. I can explore the world again and live in an environment that's going to benefit me from a personal aspect. Yeah. And then obviously the financial benefit is obviously great.
Obviously there, right?
But for me, it's there's levels, right? So you think you're doing extremely well, and there's always someone doing 10x what you're doing. So I like to just stick in my own lane and do my own thing, because if you start deviating, especially if you look at like the futures space, you see all these guys seems to be making 40k a day, like constantly. I'm like, how, like this, the math ain't mathing in my head. I don't know what they're how much they must be spending to get to that point. But for me, I like to keep the ROI quite low. I did like 2 or 3 challenges. I think it was 2, and then I got the 8k payout. So for me, I like to keep it consolidated, and that's the benefit of things like CFD trading. There's more drawdown to play with. I find with whenever I've tried to tackle futures, I have some kind of momentum, but then that draw, those red periods in your edge and your trading, I find the futures markets really aren't forgiving when that happens. Well, specifically for my edge. But yeah, I feel like trading can work for people, and there is that aha moment. But the aha moment is probably like you've made your first $10,000, because you go from basic living, assuming that you come from like, a normal living background, to then all of a sudden you've got, 5 months salary, 4 months salary, and 2 weeks, a month worth of trading. And then you think, right, this is it. And you need to lock in on those things that were getting that momentum, whether it was maybe over risking or maybe just waiting for those really good trades and those opportunities that the market can present. Sometimes when the market's going sideways, it's hard for those aha moments. And I feel like some people, when they start trading in that period, they think, oh, this trade and stuff is rubbish, because they're trading those windows where the market's going sideways, or Trump markets are quite difficult in general. When we had Sleepy Joe, those markets were pretty easy to trade in general. So
yeah, this is like
aha moment. Sorry.
There are so many variables in the market, right? The Sleepy Joe, the Trump market, the sideways, the trend, the gold, for example, is like, imagine a person starting trading gold like a year ago. He will just press long button the whole year, and most likely you're going to be profitable. So you will have some losses. You will still need to control everything. You will still need to make sure that risk management works. But like trading such a big trend is completely different from trading gold when it was like 2021. Like it's clearly different.
100%. I remember trading like 5-10 lots, and I'm just, I wouldn't dare do that in these markets. Like, I'm worried about using one lot.
For sure. Like now the lot size is 5 times less than it used to be before. Yeah. So it's like I totally understand you. It of course it depends from the person and the moment when they get into market. Great, thank you for sharing. It's really inspiring. So you've mentioned, it's actually very interesting. You've mentioned that you used to trade personal capital before, so your personal funds, right? So you did trade with brokerages, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you change your direction to prop trading? So what are the benefits for you? What did you see that made you think, oh, I want to be a funded trader instead of trading my personal capital?
I mean, with personal, it's just about capital. You know, how much bankroll have you got? And, you know, I don't like the idea of like, you know, putting $1,000 in a personal account and then losing it, you know, when I could, you know, put 1,000 into a prop challenge and make 5-6K, and then I could use that to build my personal. But living in Bangkok's quite expensive, so building a personal is quite challenging. And there's also when you're going for those drawdown periods, you're having to do challenges again, which is obviously frustrating. But it also mitigates the risk from your personal. So sometimes it's nice to do other things. I see trading as like a supplementary income, not as a main income. Because when you treat it like a main income, there's so much you put mentally, you might even not even realize how much pressure you put yourself in that boat. And unless you're trading, you know, $500,000, $1 million, you can handle those because you won't be risking as much, right? And so you can handle the redder times. You'll have, you know, if you need to pull money out of the brokerage, you can pull money out. But when you're trading, you know, your own personal, let's say it's a $10,000 account, you know, pulling money out of that feels heavy, and it won't feel heavy when you have that big personal. So I think props can be leveraged to build a personal over time, and it's about mitigating the risk until that point. And during that time when you're trading props, you can start to really build those risk parameters. And it can be hard sometimes because there is that those tilting days that happen, and it is frustrating. But it's a good thing you're doing it on a prop account versus a personal. And they have to take all the risk with the prop, and it's down to them what they do with that data, whether they A book you, B book you, or just, you know, use the fees to pay you out. You know, it's a game of data at the end of the day. And I feel like brokers are the same. You know, it's just a different vehicle. You know, let's say one's a Ford, one's a Toyota, but you know, they're both going in the same direction, i.e. of trading, but how they manage that data is completely different.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And especially, I would say you mentioned the risk management factor was crucial for you, right? Because, for example, we know the statistics about close to 90% of people who deposit money to brokerages lose everything in the first year.
Yeah.
So this is like the real life statistics, and it was published by many other brokers. Would you say that prop trading helps you learn the risk management, helps you avoid that much of risk? How do you see it? How does it work for you?
I mean, I suppose so, but I feel when you have low bankroll capital to play with in a broker, you are leaning into the higher risk type of trading because you don't have the capital to keep risk at bay. You know, if you're trading like a $500, $2,000 account, you know, let's say you're making 3 to 5%, 10% on a crazy month, you're not going to be satisfied because if you start risking more, you know, your risk of ruin exponentially grows as well. So you could have those days where, let's say, for example, you put $1,000 in and you flip it to 5,000. You know, as quick as you make it, you can lose it just as quick, if not quicker.
Yeah.
So I think when you are trading prop, you probably respect a personal a bit better because of the kind of risks parameters that are put in play on you, and it allows more freedom of trading style as well with a personal. But I feel like the prop side does give you that element of understanding risk. It's just whether you're going to implement it on a personal, because no one's there to tell you, right, no more trading for the day, unless you have software on your terminal that prevents you from trading.
Cool. I'm really happy to hear that it helps you and you see it in this way. It's really cool. So how would you describe then your trading strategy as a funded trader, specifically as a funded trader? How would you describe your trading strategy in 3 words?
Trend, buy low, sell high. You know,
Trends, it's
yeah, trend
more, right?
breakouts. Yeah, and I think there's 100 ways to skin a cat, right? I've met people that are like quant traders for banks and stuff, and when they start talking about stuff, I'm like, you can get in front of me because I'm calm because I don't notice it. At the end of the day, like there's so much money in the market to be had, and it's about finding a method that suits you, whether you like holding trades for a long time, whether you want to be in and out. I feel like when you're in and out, you sometimes, if the market's going sideways, if you're not a range bound trader, you can get really cut up really quick. Whilst if you're intraday swing trading, you won't get cut up as much. So it's it's the mental stamina as well, the emotional endurance, which I think is a really hard skill to learn. And it's one of those skills that you can't really teach. You just have to feel and experience. And it's about just understanding that trading is just hard in general, and it's not for everyone. And some people say it is, but it's really not.
Cool. So less is more, right?
Yeah.
And it's better to stick to the basics, right?
Yeah. So someone asked me if they want to get into trading, I just say just get into investing, because day trading is. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you can buy every single all-time high. If you have a 20-year horizon, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So when people are like, when's it a good time to buy? Today, tomorrow, whenever. You know, at the end of the day, it depends on your horizon. I don't know if there is an actual statistic, but you can look at every single all-time high. If you bought there, just didn't look at it over your lifetime, your quid's in. So,
yeah, for sure.
You know, that's the benefit of investing over day trading. Day trading is, you know, it's very challenging, you know, and that's why I like to keep it simple. You know, supply, demand, breakouts, trying to find the trend on the higher time frame, and then just trying to get in either on the lower end of it, or as I start to see the structure start to shift.
Sure. Because like day traders, they're surrounded by psychological pressure. There are a lot of other factors in their life. The markets are checking very fast. There are economical news, market sentiment, and plus random speeches from presidents, random world, I don't know, news coming out of nowhere. And there are so many variables that can impact the result of each position that you're taking. So that your advice is actually perfect for everyone. I think, like, stick to the basics and make sure that you're following all of the rules that you wrote down, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you mentioned the all-time highs and trends, you know for sure that the previous year was the year of metals, gold, silver, copper, and one of your biggest trades on earnings account was the trade on copper. So the question is, what is your favorite asset to trade?
Probably NASDAQ or DAX. US. So all my biggest trades. Yeah. So all of my biggest trades have actually been on like the Dow Jones. Those have actually been my biggest ever trades. But because obviously the margin and the position sizing up with the trading pit, I can't size in like I would normally. So, you know, I'm catching these 600-point moves, and if I was using my normal lot size, it would be like 2-3 times the profit.
Yep.
But because copper's moving so aggressively, a small size can do well.
So the copper was an exception, right? The trade on copper.
I was just looking at the assets, the commodities thing on the terminal, and I just looked, copper's in those and stuff. I looked at the chart, and I was like, it's pretty clean. It's a pretty clean chart. You know, I can see there's definitely some buyers sitting around. I want to try and catch in on some of this momentum, and you know, it's, for me, I don't like to deviate too far afield. But you know, with how things like, when I look at gold and silver, like I used to trade silver before, but the spreads are quite high and it was quite slippery when exiting. So I never, and then I see it like trading at these crazy levels, and it's not a healthy trend. So when it's not a healthy trend, I don't particularly enjoy trading in that, because at some point you never know when it's going to fall off a cliff, and it's it's a game of hot potato. Who's going to be the last one holding the bag?
For sure.
Because it's not going up, stalling, going up, it's just going up. It's barely even pulling back, and the moves are so aggressive, but it also just kind of highlights the tensions in the world and how much people have faith in the dollar and other things as well. So when something's moving like that, I try not to look at it too much. But when I looked at copper, it looked healthy in a sense that it came down to an area where buyers were going to be sitting, and then expanded up from there. And when I looked at like the other charts, they were just going up, like from any level. It didn't really make rhyme or reason for sense of why I was pushing from those areas. And they're not even like the bottom of the ranges; they're in the middle of the ranges, where it's kind of a coin toss whether it's going to go up or down from those levels. So yeah, I try and stick to inefficient markets, because when there's inefficiency, let's say for example we had 100% gain or loss on the dollar, it would cause pandemonium across the world. So when you're dealing with like fiat currencies, i.e. forex, those markets will stay in a tight range of like 1-2% a year. Whilst if you look at things like silver, 170% last year, gold 70%, you're looking at, there's big inefficiency there. So you got to play where the players are.
Yeah, for sure. Especially that you mentioned the trade on copper, and congratulations on catching such a great move, right? As I remember, you were in this position for 78 hours. But I don't remember, maybe you took it on Friday and you exited on Monday. Was it like this?
Probably. Well, I might have put it on Thursday. So I just got in, and then I saw it was just, I think it was on the Monday, I saw it like gap up massive, and I was like, looks pretty good. I'll keep holding that for another day.
All right. Now, however, you were still being in this position for like 3 or 4 days, somewhere in this area, right? How does it feel for you? A lot of traders, they're not patient in such moments. They want to close early, or they want to set their break even, or they want to move their take profit, they want to move their stop loss, etc. Like, can you tell, how did you feel during these days? What were the feelings, and how do you stay disciplined and emotionless during such moments?
It was just bouncing off a daily level, right? So once I know I caught like a low end of the range, and there was still much more upside, it was just, I didn't have to think about it. I just know it's going up, and if not, so be it. But for me, it's like, I mark my zones, I trade to the next zone. That's typically how I like to operate.
Your trade's kind of set and forget approach?
It's not really forgetting, because I will be looking at it and be like, oh, this is painful. Because obviously you'll see it go up, and then it starts to pull back, and markets breathe. They don't just go straight up, straight down. And yeah, it's frustrating, but at the end of the day, I knew that it would go up, and it's just a matter of time. So for me, it's...
You needed to wait, that's it. You just needed to...
Yeah.
Cool.
So
in general, how would you say, like, trading, of course, it's not an easy game, right? It's not that you're getting take profits every day. Sometimes we have stop losses, sometimes we lose accounts, and it's part of the game, right? How would you say, what advice would you give to other traders on how to stay disciplined during these moments of ups and downs, when you're up, to turn off your ego, when you're down, to not start revenge trading, etc.? What advice would you give to other traders, and what works for you?
Risk is always going to be the biggest part of it, and it's knowing how to be risk on, risk off.
Yep.
I.e., whether you're comfortable with more dynamic risk, or whether you need to stick to a more fixed risk model. And ideally, when you're first getting into the game of props, it's better to stick to fixed risk, because you're still probably figuring out which are your home run style of trades.
Yep.
And knowing when a trade's going in your favor, whether you've got a really nice low, and as you start to see the trend going in your direction, it's about learning how to scale in. I feel like some people, they don't know how to scale in, but that's just, once again, experience. I like to scale into trades. But yeah, it's experience will teach you everything. So it's just it's a matter of skin in the game. And the lower you keep your risk, the more easy it is to manage your emotions. At the end of the day, we all have emotions and you can't just switch them off. And if you switch them off, there's probably something wrong with you in your head. And it would be nice. But it's, the way you kind of manage that, as well as is having hobbies, having things outside of trading to keep your mind occupied. Because when you are going through those drawdown periods, this time now when I've been going through months where maybe I'm not have earned as much as I would have liked to, or maybe a slightly red month, it doesn't phase me because I have other pillars and I have confidence in my ability to trade prop firms. So, you might have a month where you lose like $4,000, and then another month you lose $4,000, but then the following month you make 20, 30, 40K, and that's just off maybe one or two accounts. So it's just endurance, and it's that mental, emotional aptitude. But once again, you just can't trade that. It's experience it, and I've experienced it multiple times. When it's like my third time coming back around in trading, and it is one of those things where, like, coming back each time, I've learned something more, and that is typically the emotional regulation. And through things like having a good network, exercising regularly, getting out the house. I feel like some people, they don't get out enough because they're just sat in front of the charts all day, every day, and that sometimes you don't even realize you're going through the fatigue. Because you just think, oh, I'm just watching YouTube, or I'm just watching the charts, and then you don't realize you're just slowly kind of losing your mind. Then you just get itchy fingers or a bit bored, and you start entering like pretty rubbish trades.
Yeah, that's for sure. And let me ask you, especially in these moments, you mentioned that sometimes we have drawdowns, and having drawdowns is the part of the game. Everyone will have it in his journey, right? What helps you stay consistent in such moments? Like, I imagine being in a drawdown, and sometimes we have drawdowns, like not for one day, sometimes it's a week, in a month, 2 months, right? It can be really long periods. What help you stay disciplined, consistent especially in these periods? Like, what keeps you driving?
Time off usually helps, so if I feel like I'm not feeling quite right, just have a day off, a week off. Sometimes during my kind of trading career, I've had like 6 months off, a year off, because I just needed that mental stability back. And when you start, let's say for example, you're trying to switch from scalping to swing trading, you can't just flick a switch and overnight change your style. You need time off to kind of recalibrate, reset, look at the charts a bit different. And just time can be your friend, or it can be your like worst enemy. So just try and keep it on side and give time will fix everything. The fast, the typical quote is, the faster you try and do it, the slower it will take to get there.
Have you ever had the moments when you are having a drawdown, when the mood is not maybe the best, and you want to enter the trade, but the trade is actually not following your rules, and the last moment you catch yourself and you're basically catching your hand, like, okay, no, stop. Now I turn off my phone, I go away from my computer, and I don't enter it, right? Did you have it?
Probably. I can tell when I'm having a tilt day and when I'm not. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a tilt day. It's just the markets aren't on my side. I know when I've had a bad trading day is when like I'm trying to trade barcode and I'm like, what am I doing? But if I go for a losing period, my edge just isn't working. I just suck it up.
Yeah, that's really nice. I totally agree with you. Sometimes we just need time. We just need some distractions, like healthy distractions in our life from the thing. And with time, it will all come back, and we'll all come back to the normal emotional state. Cool. Ashley, the last question for you. Imagine you can come back in time, meet yourself in the beginning of your journey, and say an advice a one sentence or two sentence, what will you say? What would you say to yourself in the beginning of your journey?
And say, hey, look, you never give up. Just don't give up on this because it does work. You just got to keep plowing forward. Even when you think it's over, it's not.
So never give up, guys.
Yeah.
For everyone.
It's about having that inner belief. You know, you need to, even when you are down and out, you need to just kind of just brush yourself off, take a bit of time, reset, and move forward again. You know, and review what you were doing wrong. 9 times out of 10, it will be over risking or itchy fingers. But once you start to manage those demons, you can definitely do it. Anyone can do it. You know, at the end of the day, we all get given the same data set. And it's how we perceive that data. So it's about learning how to understand data more efficiently, you know, and that comes through experience. So yeah, you can. Don't worry about how low you feel right now. I've been as low as it goes, and I've still risen up. So, you know, anyone can. You just need to believe.
That's really inspiring. That's really inspiring. And Ashley, thank you very much for giving such advice to everyone. In the end, we want to say, never give up, guys. And if you have a dream, if you have a goal, you will for sure reach it. Just never give up, continue working hard and stay disciplined. Ashley, from my side, thank you very much for joining the interview today. It was really nice to talk with you. And we want to say bye-bye to our audience. And once again, Ashley, thank you so much. Would you like to say something in the end?
Well, thank you very much for having me as well. And everyone watching, just the key thing to take away is that you need to review your data, learn how to manage your emotions, and have things outside of trading and treat trading as a hobby. I.e., if you're doing a 9 to 5, study and trade in the evenings. Don't think that this is the escape vehicle. When it gets to that point, you'll know it. But at the end of the day, treat it as a fun hobby, you know? Because the more pressure you put on it, the further you push it away.
Cool. Great. Thank you very much, Ashley. It was really nice talking with you. And everyone, bye-bye.